And a good Wednesday morning, Quad Cities. It is Wednesday, June 25th, 9 o'clock on the dot. Welcome in to Ask Andrew Live. I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzke. We'll be joined momentarily by weather anchor Peter Warner, who's finishing up some weather duties for our sister station in Des Moines. We have got a lot to cover today, including talking about derechos, why they are complicated and very complex to forecast. We're also going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, corn sweat. Yeah, that is something that's going to be ramping up here in the next several weeks as that corn crop continues to get taller and taller and gets more mature in our fields. So we'll be talking about all of that. Plus, weather-wise, a lot to talk about here too. We've logged the first tropical storm of the Atlantic Basin. We'll be going over that, the list of names. We also have some weather closer to home to talk about, including another chance of getting some heat near 100 degrees as we go into this afternoon and tomorrow. Even the weekend looking a little toasty, plus some thunderstorms on the way. We'll be tracking their arrival too as well. If you are new to this program, welcome aboard. We do this every Wednesday right here on the A+ app starting at 9 o'clock. So submit your questions. How do you do that if you have a weather-related question? You text it to this message right here, 309-304-0888. 309-304-0888, 309-304-0888. Our wonderful folks on the digital desk will monitor that text line and let us know when those questions come in. If you're also watching us on social media, you can let us know in the comments section too. So a few different ways to do it. The best way to guarantee we get your question though is to text it to us. That way multiple sets of eyes are on it, because sometimes Facebook could be a little funky with the comment section. Peter could see one thing, I'll see another thing, or we just don't see anything at all. So it can be a little tricky at times. So we encourage the text line if you're going to be asking a question. Just remember to keep it weather related only. Don't make it weird. We'll answer any weather related question you may have on this fine Wednesday. And speaking of Peter, he has arrived.
I have arrived.
It was a quick trip from Des Moines.
Yeah, right? It was super fast. I can kind of teleport now back and forth between the two.
I wondered, because you got some really cool technology over there, and I just thought it was a matter of time before we could just zap you through the air.
Pretty much what it feels like at this point, right?
Yeah. You have been busy there on the Iowa side this morning. Showers and thunderstorms. In fact, I believe this is the second morning in a row you've had to deal with a flash flooding situation.
Yeah, flash flood warnings. I know in Des Moines today, I think it was Walnut Creek there. Its normal level, or its flood stage, is at about 9 feet. They were at almost like 15 feet this morning. Yeah, so they saw just near the metro, I'd say in the last 24 hours, maybe some areas 4+ inches of rainfall. So definitely heavy rainfall.
A lot of moisture.
A lot of moisture, and we have potential for maybe some of that here as well. Not that heavy, but some of those storms kind of creep their way here too. Yeah,
we're eventually going to get stormy again, and we hope we don't have to deal with any flash flooding. We know we do have some ongoing river flooding that is going to be coming up, including the Wapsie. That will likely experience some moderate flooding in the days ahead. The Cedar River, I believe, is another one that is going to be quickly rising. And Mississippi, Rock River, not concerned about that right now, but it is something we're going to keep an eye on, especially if we end up getting a heavy round of rain.
Yes, that's something. It's that time of year, right?
It is.
We start to expect that.
Exactly. A lot of moisture. Speaking of rain, you know, we've had some this morning. We just talked about that over on the Iowa side. Illinois side has had some rain too. All morning long, we've been tracking this kind of round of showers and thunderstorms that's been pushing in from parts of east central Iowa. It started out kind of in Des Moines, like you said there, and then it went to Iowa City, and now we're seeing the last of this activity push out of the Sauk Valley region, out of Carroll County, and now almost out of all of Joe Davis County. So what's behind it? Well, there's one more little line of storms here trying to work its way into Cedar Rapids, but that thing looks like it's falling apart pretty rapidly there.
Yeah.
There's the flash flood warning that Peter was talking about, sitting southwest of the Des Moines Metro. That's where the rain just kind of sat all morning long, repeatedly seeing thunderstorm activity.
Yeah, it's just been one of those couple of days right along that stationary boundary. You're just going to see these systems get going and then park themselves. and they aren't moving a whole lot. I mean, we're seeing wind speeds, maybe 5 to 10 miles per hour at the surface.
Yeah.
So aloft, really not that much greater, maybe 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour, the storm movement on these, which is significantly slower than what we typically see with thunderstorms, where they can move up to like 50 miles per hour at times.
Yeah, you just don't get any push
No.
with these. They just sit and sit and sit. And there you see what the radar is estimating. When you get into the dark orange, kind of north of Greenfield, it looks like potentially more than maybe 3-4 inches of rain there.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that dark orange maybe 5 to 8?
5 to 8
in Adair County? Yeah, out in Adair County there. Yeah, just heavy rainfall. And I know right along I-80 today there was ponding. There was up to 2 inches at times on portions of roads. So definitely the big weather story for the state of Iowa today is going to be that flooding and that flooding potential. And it continues overnight tonight and also tomorrow as well, because they are seeing the bulk of this rainfall. We're getting more scattered scenarios.
Yeah, you guys have a weather impact alert in place over there for that. And you're right, look at how that cuts right through Interstate 80. I imagine that caused a whole bunch of problems on the morning commute out that direction this morning. A little closer to home, if you're curious about those rainfall totals, we had a couple of heavier pockets, especially with that one southwest of Muscatine here. That was late last night. Right before I went to bed, that was about 8:30 or so, I saw some storms lining up south of Interstate 80. We also had some heavier storms here northeast of Galesburg, kind of near Knoxville, indicating some heavy rain, and then those tracked up to the northeast as well. We'll go to the wider picture here. I'll show you that stationary boundary. It's still draped across our region, and it's not moving, of course. We will get a little bit of movement to this as we go into tomorrow, but what you'll notice today is that in general, the storm track is kind of shifting a little bit further north. So we're going to get into all of this clearing here in the next couple of hours. We'll keep that through the afternoon. We're still going to see some scattered showers and storms, but with more sun expected today and winds coming out of the southwest, we're going to get back into that nasty, icky, sticky feeling again.
No. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
It was a nice break while we had it.
It was, yeah. I will say it was a lot more bearable yesterday. Not going to be the case today. It's going to be very uncomfortable as we get into this afternoon. We're also going to get ourselves into some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity. Peter and I are kind of scratching our heads about this 2 out of 5 sitting in northern Iowa. Not too sure about the coverage of storms there. It's a little spotty. I'm not disagreeing with the 1 out of 5. I think we should keep that here in the Quad Cities. This is going to be for this afternoon, not really overnight. And then as we go into tomorrow, this is going to be for tomorrow evening, where we're all in this 1 out of 5. So we'll continue to see these episodes of showers and thunderstorms come through, but in terms of any widespread severe weather or anything like that, just not in the cards, at least right now.
No, and what honestly surprises me the most is, if anything, I would have put maybe a 2 on Thursday rather than today.
Right.
That right along that boundary looks like we have that better kind of supercell, stronger storm development, and maybe a little, not significant shear, but a little bit more shear than what we're seeing today. So I was a little bit surprised by that. Out of all the days, I picked the 2, because we haven't seen a 2 this week since Monday.
We haven't. No, and that was the last day that we saw that. So, yeah, I'm thinking, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this area in here just to the west of us, probably Des Moines and then eastward, got a little bit of an uptick tomorrow. A lot of that will depend on, of course, what happens with the convection or the storms tonight.
Yes.
We'll see what happens with that. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think tomorrow is probably a little bit more worthy of a 2 out of 5 than a 1 out of 5. Yeah. Another thing I want to draw your attention to is we may end up seeing a lot of these as we go into this afternoon with these storms that are coming in. Conditions today, they are favorable for funnel clouds. Those will be likely with showers and storms this afternoon, though conditions today do not support damaging tornadoes. We don't have the atmospheric conditions that would produce your typical supercell thunderstorm, where we would have to worry about a strong damaging tornado. These are weak funnels. We usually see them this time of year in the summer. When you get this boundary sitting over here, you can get a little spin, and I know that can alarm some folks when they see it. It looks scary, but I want to reassure you we are not anticipating any damaging tornadoes today. Could there be a tornado warning this afternoon?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes these things like to touch the ground briefly, but they don't do too much.
I remember we had one just about a week from today.
We did.
A week ago from today, yeah. They have maybe wind gusts up to 40, 50 miles per hour at best.
Yeah. So a week out building, the ones that are decrepit and about ready to fall over anyway, it could certainly damage those. But we're not talking about this running into your home, taking the roof off, blowing out the windows, tossing your car, maybe blowing your patio furniture a little bit around the patio.
Knock over the umbrella,
Yeah,
maybe, at best.
That's about it. So nothing to get too excited about. Want to reassure folks with that today. So here's the plan. Showers and storms continue going to the northeast. We'll redevelop those on a scattered basis heading into the afternoon. There will likely be some funnel clouds with those. And then we get to sunset and everything just quiets down.
Yeah.
Any new storms are going to take off to the north of us and stay in northern Iowa, southern Wisconsin. So it's only going to drop to the mid-70s tonight. It's going to be toasty.
Ooh.
And since we're going to have a warmer start tomorrow and no showers and storms in the morning, all this sunshine, I think we go low to mid-90s tomorrow. Heat index may pop briefly into the low 100s. And then here comes the front swinging back in with this line of thunderstorms, roughly between 4 and I would say 9 o'clock tomorrow night, working your way from west to east. It doesn't look impressive in terms of like a solid line or anything. That's kind of a broken line of storms. And we'll keep an eye on it. You know, there's something, depending on how things set up, we could certainly see a good rush of wind out of it.
Yeah.
Then we get to Friday.
Oh,
a
that looks
one-day
nice.
Break. 1 day only.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a
85?
Macy's sale. 1 day only.
Goodness.
Yeah. 88 for a heat index in the afternoon. 85 for a high. 1 day, because by the weekend, we're going to be sweating it out again. Temperatures back in the mid to upper 90s for heat index values. The actual temperature in the low 90s. Yeah. And we're still going to keep a daily chance of storms going too. I will say Saturday looks pretty quiet around here.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So if you want a weekend day that you want to plan something, Saturday would be your day to do that. I have a big touch-a-truck to go to on Saturday in Rock Falls. That's outside and pretty much all day. So I'm hoping these storms stay at bay. I'm going to have a lot of people mad at me there if they do not, because that's what happened last year. We had to move it
Really?
because it rained. Yeah.
Oh,
so
no.
I don't want to have that happen 2 years in a row.
Got to knock on that wood.
Lots of it, even laminate at this point.
Yeah.
Then we'll get into next week, John Deere Classic, of course, some of the tournament play. I believe begins on Thursday, I think, for the tournament itself.
Yeah,
Pro-Am before
Pro-Am
that.
on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday is the first 2 rounds, and then the cut happens for the Saturday rounds.
Yes. So we don't want, you know, rain and thunderstorms during any of that. It looks like Wednesday we may have to deal with a couple of those. But again, the key word is isolated. Yes. Not
And I like to
widespread.
see that.
Yes.
And that's something we see with all these storms, isn't it, kind of, or most of them. Maybe Thursday a little bit better coverage, but overall everything nice and scattered, which is good.
Yes, nothing widespread. That is some good news there. We'll go over a couple of questions that we had this week really quickly, and then we'll get to your questions. You can text those again to us or put them in the chat. The question I had today, it's one I love to bring up every year because there's still a ton of people that have no idea what this is. Corn sweat.
I learned about it last year, and I was like, ooh, this is fun.
What is this?
Yeah.
This nastiness, this grossness. So it's just what it sounds like. You know, humans, we sweat when we get hot, and our animals sweat, but our plants sweat too. And it's not just corn, it's every living plant sweats. But does it, like, do you go up to it and it's wet in nature? Not
Rarely.
really. Yeah, we're talking about transevaporation, or evapotranspiration, excuse me.
Evapotranspiration, yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. It's a Monday in my head for some reason.
This guy.
Evapotranspiration. I tell you what, I just may have invented a new word. Who knows? Anyway, that's the core.
Transpo evaporation?
I don't know. We're going to have to look that up and see if that's a thing. Maybe it is.
Who knows?
Maybe I just invented something.
Hey.
Have to trademark that.
More fun to say anyway.
It is.
Easier to say, too.
It is easier to say. So that process involves our corn and our soybean crop that is maturing. Now, we're not there quite yet. The corn is just a little bit up to your waist, I think, in height, at least where I'm at in Geneseo. So once this gets a little bit taller, about as tall as Peter and I am, that's when we start to see this mature. It begins to sweat. And the reason for that is it's pulling all of this water out of the ground, it's moving it through the stalk of the plant, and then it transpires itself into the air. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
And when that happens, you add all of this moisture to the air. And how much moisture are we talking about?
A lot.
Yeah. Look at the numbers. So what you're seeing on the left-hand side of your screen, those numbers, that's the water usage by the plant in inches per day. So this is an average. And some of that gets awful close to about 4/10. That's more than 1/4 of an inch of water a day. That each plant, we're talking just one plant now. Think of this, whole situation being in a whole field, how much moisture that's throwing into the air. And it peaks in the next 3 to 6 weeks. as we head into July. I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, the statistics or the data itself is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
How much, and I remember you talked about the oxygen and all that it produces too. Just the whole impact the crop itself has on, honestly, our weather and our climate is such a cool study.
Yeah, it is a big, big impact. And I'm not up here in a soapbox. I'm not blaming farmers. I'm not accusing farmers of doing anything. This is all a natural process. Like I said before, every single living thing sweats or has that evapotranspiration process going on.
If we weren't here, the same thing would still be happening because you guys see all the woods that occur in areas we aren't.
Think of the trees, think of everything else. Even the grass does the same process. It's just that corn does it on a magnitude higher than most other plants. So if you live near a cornfield, you're certainly feeling this. So yeah, get ready. We have not seen the end of this. In fact, the worst is yet to come. It'll be arriving here shortly.
Just made my
Fun
day.
stuff, isn't it?
Made my day.
Very fun. The other thing I talked about too, this was on Monday because I promised last week during this Ask Andrew Live, we were going to talk about why derechos are so difficult to forecast, because it seems like anytime we have a severe weather event and we mention wind is the main concern, people automatically go to, are we going to see a derecho?
Yep, they see a straight line on the future cast or future track and they go, derecho.
Yes.
No. It's
Not
a little
always
bit more
the case.
complicated.
It is so complicated. If you know of a meteorologist that can forecast a line of severe thunderstorms that's going to last 400 plus miles in advance, please direct me to them. I have not met anyone, nor have I seen anyone that's been able to forecast something like that. We have a hard enough time forecasting where the storms are going to form, let alone are they going to travel 400 miles away from their formation points. So these are the things I kind of want you to consider and why derechos are so unpredictable. And August 10th, 2020, I think bar none is the best example of this.
Yes.
Why it's a struggle to predict these. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take you through a timeline of this day. Peter, of course, you weren't here for this, but I'm sure you've heard about this. You've probably read about it, seen some things. We started that morning, and that I believe, I'm not sure what day it was, but yeah, August 10th. I know it was a weekday because I was here. Eric Sorensen was here. James was here as well. 1 o'clock that morning. So Eric was putting together GMQC, the weather for that. Only a 1 out of 5. We had a 2 out of 5 from the SPC south of here. We got to 7 o'clock. We went all the way from a 1 to a 3.
Wow.
And then we got to 10:57. So an earlier update than we usually get, which is 11:30, because things were escalating so quickly, we went up to a 4. So in just a matter of hours, we went from, oh, this is going to be a run-of-the-mill, maybe an isolated thunderstorm event, to this is going to be a widespread, significant, damaging, severe thunderstorm event.
Goodness.
And the day before, we didn't even have a level 2 to the south of us, by the way.
Really?
So, yeah, this is how quickly things ramped up. When it came to getting the actual event going, at about 11:30, 11:25, that's when we had the severe thunderstorm watch get issued. And it was a PDS, or one that was called a potentially dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm watch, because of the magnitude of the wind. That time, 11:25 a.m., was the first time the Storm Prediction Center, or any meteorologist in general, used the term derecho.
Really?
Nobody had said that the day before. I went back through all the outlooks. The SBC didn't say it. They didn't say it the day before, and they didn't say it the day of until that watch was issued, because they could see what was trending with that storm system at that time. So again, it's further evidence, further proof. You're not going to be able to forecast these things that much in advance. We were able to get about an hour lead time on that. The watch was issued at about 11:30. The storms rolled into the Quad Cities at about 12:30. That was an hour lead time that we were having this derecho event come in.
Yes. And I mean, and the only reason they knew it was probably a derecho, or they could mention it, is because it's formed in the western portions of Iowa.
Yep. It had already had consistent wind speeds of 58 plus miles an hour. Marshalltown, you need wind speeds of 75, plus they had 106. When those storms get those magnitude of winds, it's going to take a while for them to decrease in intensity. They're going to become powerhouse systems, and they are going to move across a very large, expansive area. So that's why it wasn't until that time when we got that watch, when those storms had already done so much damage to the west of us, that they were comfortably able to use that term derecho.
I wonder how many times it's happened since. Probably not a lot.
Probably not a lot. Yeah, that's a very good question. But it's, again, it's a classic case. It's the best example as to why we cannot predict derechos in advance, because everyone freaks out. Again, whenever we have wind is the highest threat for storms, this is the first thing they think of. Another thing too, derechos are not all created equal. Just because you have a derecho doesn't mean it's going to be the same as August 10th.
No. I mean, I remember even last year, there was the July 22nd, I think.
There was, yeah.
Yep, July 22nd. I remember that because that was my first day here. That's how I remember it. But I mean, yeah, it was significant. We saw a couple of tornadoes, but nothing compared to the August one.
Yeah.
I can even just put those two up against each other. I mean, yeah, there was damage from the July 22nd one, but not the August 10th one.
There was not. I mean, this is I would call this a once in a decade event.
Yes.
That you would see something of this magnitude roll through. Not just our part of the country, but any part of the country. It's that strong.
Yeah.
Definitely the strongest on record. It's the most costliest severe thunderstorm event on record in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Top spot in terms of how much damage it caused.
Wow.
Yeah, that was impressive. So I hope we never have to top this anytime soon.
No.
Again, this is the worst possible case scenario, but it goes to show how difficult these things are. So that's why we get kind of irked when people on social media will post, there's going to be a derecho in this giant red area between late June and through July.
No way.
I know, right? That's is why. One every year is what we get here for derecho frequency. This is the historic average. We expect one, at least one every year here in the Quad Cities. Sometimes we get lucky, we don't get any, and that's fine.
That's fine. That's good. This is like drawing a giant polygon, or kind of, one of those size things you have, and drawing it from Wisconsin to Michigan to Illinois to Iowa to Ohio to Indiana and Minnesota, and saying it's going to snow in December.
Yeah.
It's like,
duh.
yeah, it happens.
I mean, not to be rude or crass about it, but that's exactly what we're trying to message here. You know, it's about getting people excited, getting the emotions worked up, getting the anxiety worked up, because then you're going to get the clicks, you're going to get the views. We're always going to give it to you straight here. And that's what I'm doing with you right now. There's no need to freak out, to panic when you see something like that on social media. It is a given that one is going to come in. Is it going to be August 10th all over again? No, it is not. And if it is, I will eat crow and I will say, oh my goodness, this is terrible. But I do not anticipate another repeat of August 10th anywhere in the near future anyway.
No,
that's
very
a once
rare,
in a decade.
Very rare event.
Yeah. So rest assured, if you saw that on social media, no need to panic. It is something we expect every year.
Yes.
And we'll let you know when we see something that might put a red flag on things and say, we need to watch this pattern, or we need to watch this storm, things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, no need to worry.
Most likely after the event, we won't know. We won't know till then. You got to be classified after.
Exactly. Those certain criteria. It's the 400 miles, I believe,
58
in
mile per
distance,
hour wind gusts.
consistently. Yep.
Yes.
Got to have a handful of 75 plus wind gusts in there, and it also has to be, I think, 65 miles wide.
Is it 65?
I believe.
I'm trying to think if it's 70 or 65. One of the two.
Might be one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got to meet criteria.
Yes.
Otherwise, you could call every storm a derecho, and then nobody would listen. It'd be like, oh, that was just a storm.
Yeah. You need to think thunderstorms or derechos.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you learned something with both of those items there. And now we've got time for your burning weather questions.
Yes. We got some. We're pretty busy today.
I love it.
Judy was talking about just how her crops in Hillsdale, on their farm are very happy. 0.6 of an inch of rain.
They are loving not only the rain,
Everyone
but this
is.
heat. They
Yes,
love the heat.
the plants. I know we were looking on Facebook the other day. Remember that spray painting of the corn I showed you?
Yes.
It was so cool. I want to try and do that, or one of us try and do that here. You spray paint just one of the little stalks of corn, and you can just go back 24 hours later and see how much it's grown. This one grew to like 2.5, 3 inches in 24 hours.
I couldn't believe how fast that was. Now, I don't encourage you to go to somebody's field and start spray painting corn. You got to get your own corn.
And we got to get permission. Or get permission.
But it was a
Talk
real
to the
cool,
farmer.
like, real-life example.
Yes.
Like you showed. I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Really interesting data. Pictures.
Yeah.
It's not data.
Well, it
I guess.
technically is. You measured it, so.
That's true. But yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it was cool.
Michelle in Milan was wondering, you said there was a funnel cloud yesterday. What are the chances for Sterling and Rock Falls today to see a pop-up funnel cloud?
Really good chance there, because it looks like most of the new thunderstorm activity taking off this afternoon is going to be kind of east on the Illinois side of the river. So a decent chance you're going to see some funnel cloud action there too. If you see them, snap a picture.
Please do.
If you can.
You can text them in.
Love seeing that stuff.
Yeah, you can text them to 309-304-0888.
Send it in.
Send it in, or on our website. Either way.
Either way.
Just send them in.
Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yes. Whatever. Oh, we got a good question from Billy. What's up, Billy? His question is, how many supercell storms go on to produce multi-vortex tornadoes?
So, I don't know if you knew this, Billy, but most tornadoes are multi-vortex tornadoes. They really are. Not so much the smaller ones, the little teeny pencil-thin ones, but the bigger ones, like your EF2s, your 3s, and so on, those are all multi-vortice tornadoes. There's been some phenomenal videos. Unfortunately, I cannot share those with you because they're copyrighted and we're not allowed to share them. But if you go to any social media storm chaser page, especially some of the bigger ones, they have some really amazing close-up video of a lot of these tornadoes, and you can see the little mini tornadoes within them rotating around the outside of the main funnel. So there's quite common occurrence, actually.
I wonder if, Billy, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know. We were looking at it. Did you see the video of the drone that went through the tornado?
Yes.
That was so cool. It was literally half a second, but you can tell just the layers to it inside of it. It was so cool.
Drones have opened up a brand new opportunity for us to get views of storms that we have never had before. So yeah, check them out. They're on social media. You can get on X, you can get on Facebook. They're pretty easy to find if you just search for storms or tornadoes. Yeah. Those videos will pop right up.
They will be all over the place. Let's see. Jerry, let's see. Oh, that's a bot. We got a bot in here today.
Again? Somebody looking for love?
Yeah, someone was looking for love.
Oh, looking for a serious relation. You know, computers get lonely too. Apparently.
Just, yeah, I guess.
Stay away from them. They just want your money.
Yes, they do. Yesterday, you said we'll have rain chances every day through Monday. What's the difference between scattered and isolated storms? Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, great question. So when we talk about isolated, we're talking about a lot of space in between, or limited to just one or two counties. Scattered, we're talking a little less space, kind of every other county gets a storm kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of, I know people give out percentages in a way.
Yes.
We don't like to do that because you're going to think there's a 10% chance, say, you exactly where you are, see your storms. But I'd say a good way to think of it is maybe 10 to 30% chance isolated, 40 to 60 maybe more scattered, then above that is more widespread.
Yeah, yeah.
Give or take.
If you think of it in terms of like coverage, like percent of the region that's covered, yeah, the lower percentage is isolated, the higher percentages would be scattered.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always one person, you get 10% chance of rain, that person gets poured on.
Rain. Or yeah, that person does get poured.
And they plan all these outdoor events and they're like, it was only a 10% chance and I got it. And I'm like, that's why we don't use percentages.
That's why we shouldn't gamble.
That too, yes, wise advice.
Yes.
1-800-BETS-OFF.
Oh my goodness. So Anne actually had a similar question. What's the difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny?
They're both the same.
There's none.
There is no difference.
Yes, some just prefer saying cloudy, some say partly sunny. Pretty sure, doesn't the National Weather Service do partly sunny sometimes?
They do.
Yeah, we do partly cloudy.
Yeah, I don't touch the partly sunny one. I also don't touch thunder showers. I was like, well, if you're having thunder, usually it's a heavy downpour, so I just use thunderstorms.
Yeah, and if it's a thunder shower, we can talk about that separately.
Yeah.
I wish we had an icon for thunder snow. Do we?
We do have an icon for thunder snow.
Thunder snow is my favorite.
We do, and thunder sleet.
And thunder sleet.
Yes.
Thunder snow is my favorite type of maybe storm. Just sounds
Yours
so
and
cool.
Jim Cantori's.
It sounds so cool. Thunder snow. Oh my goodness. Debbie was saying the corn in Central Iowa was growing like crazy. I believe it.
Yeah, it was knee-high by the 4th of June, at least here.
Quick this year. I wonder if it's because all the rainfall we've had.
I think it's the rain and the heat.
The rain and heat, a good mix of both.
A lot of hybrids, too. There's a lot of science that goes into that to make them taller and stronger and, you know.
I have no idea. Actually, I haven't looked at this, but it seems like so far it's been a good year just based on the rainfall meteorologically for crops this year. So far, it's been pretty good.
Most farmers I've talked to, thumbs up.
There we go.
It's looking good.
Good. Let's see. Michelle's excited with you about Saturday. Oh, she's celebrating her 25th wedding anniversary. Congrats, Michelle.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Riley was wondering, but isn't one reason why they are so hard to predict derechos due to how they can appear out of nowhere?
That too, because like I showed you in that example,
Yes.
I mean, an hour lead time for that kind of a situation coming up here. They really do. It's one of those storms, and I hate the phrase so much, but it is one of those storms where it came up out of nowhere actually applies.
Yes, it does. We have one quick one.
Yeah.
Let's get it from 8-year-old Kaysen. Wants to know how wind works. What causes the wind to blow?
So what causes the wind to blow? The wind is caused by difference in temperature, because that difference in temperature will drive a difference in pressure. We see a lot of wind, of course, months ago. Remember that? Seemed like the wind never quit in February, March, and April, even to parts of May. Now the wind has kind of calmed itself down.
Yeah.
And why is that? Because the pressure has calmed itself down.
Yes.
Let's pull up that health graphic. I show it every day during the 11. This is the change in pressure forecast. And what you're going to notice is, guess what? The line is going to be pretty flat here. You're not going to see a lot of up and down. In the wintertime, this line is all over the place. We'll go from like up here to down here and then back up again, kind of in a loop-de-loop. This time of year, this line is nice and flat because you're not seeing a big change in temperature. We've been in the 80s and 90s consistently every day for how long now? So
It's a good thing if you don't like aches and pains.
that's right. Your aches and pains have been minimal as of late. I'm willing to bet.
Well, let's maybe wrap this up. I know it's 9:31. We got meetings to get to go to. There's
Some
a couple
meetings
more.
to go to. You've got a plane to hop on.
I got to hop on a plane.
That's right. Lots and lots going on here on this Wednesday. So yeah, you guys had some great questions today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back here next week at the same time, same place, same streaming
Same
channel.
place.
Same place.
Are we?
Hopefully. We'll see. I don't know, are we?
JDC.
Oh, that's right. It's the JDC next week. I was like, what? Am I going on vacation? Did somebody finally book me a vacation?
Yes, JDC next week.
We'll be in the JDC next week. Yeah, so live from TPC Deer Run. We look forward to doing that, and we'll see you then. Have a great day.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 8 Plus app everywhere you stream.